On the line is the independent member for Wollondilly, and that is Judy Hannan. Hello, Judy. How are you going?
Good morning. It's a beautiful day out there.
It's the first time we've spoken since you've been in.
Well, I guess I've probably been busy running around like a chook, but achieving a lot of things along the way, which is brilliant.
Now, from an independent's point of view, I know that you've been involved in local politics for a while and you've had a couple of goes at it. This time you were successful. Is it what you thought it would be?
I believe it's better than I thought it would be. There's some bits that are better anyway. I have to say parliamentary behaviour is poorer than I ever could have expected. But to be able to raise the voice of the area here is better than I ever thought. The number of times in the last couple of weeks I've heard the word Wollondilly spoken in Parliament has been incredible.
That is good. Now, the Wollondilly comes basically down, you describe what areas...
It starts at Warragamba and it travels all the way through the Wollondilly Shire and then into the Wingecarribee, through the Hilltop, Colo Vale, Mittagong, Bowral and Burradoo, and it finishes at the river there.
That is great. And the other thing is, though, because you're in Parliament, of course, you represent a whole lot of people that send you bits and pieces and say, look, can you help us out with this, which is even better.
It is really good, and the number of people who've made contact's been phenomenal. We're trying to get around to each of them. We're looking forward to our first outreach on Friday down in Bowral. A lot of people have said they're coming in, so I'm actually bringing staff down with me because there are so many people with issues. But it's been really, really enjoyable, and we're, raising issues such as the Bowral Hospital, the train timetable, all those sorts of issues.
And just for those people that would like to go along and see you this coming Friday, just let us know exactly where you will be.
So I'm going to be at Community Links down in Station Street, Bowral. It's down towards the end of Station Street, and they're graciously allowing me to use a room there. And we're not actually taking appointments because I didn't know how many people would be interested. But the number of people that have said they're popping in seems to be rising by the minute. But it won't be the only time. If I get a lot of response, then I'll make it a much more regular occurrence.
Fair enough. Now, one thing I want to ask you about is something that was promised 4 years ago, and you've watched this very, very closely from a councillor point of view in the Wollondilly, and that is the Loop Line. Now, the Loop Line runs from Thirlmere, the historic rail museum, and it will run down to Colo Vale. Will it be completed?
It will be completed, and I'm really excited to say probably early next year sometime. Hopefully, we'll actually get the opening of it. There is a business case study going forward to connect Colo Vale across to Bowral and Mittagong, but what people need to realise, this is a tourist line. It's not going to be a transport opportunity for them. It's not an everyday hop on the train type situation, but it'll bring lots of tourism and jobs hopefully to the area. Because
originally it was kind of touted as it would be a way of getting onto the Picton line for those areas in the south.
Yeah, I think it was touted like that, but it never ever was intended to be that. We've got a lot of work to do to actually get proper transport on the lines that are there at the moment. And I actually have some questions that are going to come up in Parliament. I'm going to be asking about where that the timetabling and the hybrid trains, where they are actually up to, so that we can actually start to look at improving the public transport system.
Now, you'd have to be pretty happy with the Labor government because they put a stop to selling off Sydney Water, which was a major thing in the election.
It certainly was. So Sydney Water and Hunter Water are the two ones that they've actually put in place, can't be sold. Well, anything can be sold off, but to sell it off can't be done simply by a couple of ministers. It would have to come through a full parliamentary process now. So I would say it's fairly safe in place, which is fantastic.
Now, the other thing that's coming up for you is a round table in the Camden area in regard to housing and the providing of housing, which is something I'm sure you get an email or a question about every single day.
So I won't be running it in the Camden area. We're going to be facilitating it probably somewhere in the Bargo, Mittagong area.
Okay.
So we're going to do the facilitation, but we are involving the member for Camden, and we'll be inviting the member for Goulburn. We're hoping to get a couple of ministers along, but literally it's to talk to all the providers in the area, the charities that, compete for a certain amount of money, but never actually have enough money to deliver something. We want them all in the room together. We want to do a bit of a brainstorm about what opportunities can be, picked up if we all work together.
Okay. Now, the other thing, while I've got you there, I've spoken to the various ministers, from the housing minister all the way through to the planning minister on the air, and they've all said they're concerned about the way councils are running and ratcheting up fees and what have you as far as development is concerned. I have got document after document after document from people that are just at grassroots level that are really concerned that they can't get their house built. There's been DAs sitting there for 12 months. You know as well as I do, the feedback is not the best. Now, I'm going to get all of those together. Will you, if I put them in your hands, take them to those various ministers and show exactly what's happening in the Shoalhaven and also in the Southern Highlands?
Yeah, so I won't be in Parliament next week, but the week after I'll be in there. And instead of couriering them or posting them or anything else, what I'd really like to do is pick them up from you at some point and take them in and deliver them straight to the ministers.
Well, they know they're coming, so that'd be wonderful, because that way, number one, we'll know they get there. But secondly, it's a way of letting them know that something has to be done in regard to councils, because it is just a backlog. I spoke to a bloke on the weekend whose father-in-law has given up building the house because it's gone up by 20 grand to build it, and he just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. So the leader of the House now came from local government, and he's talking about giving some of the powers back to the councillors, whether that's good or bad. But at the moment, the councillors can't get involved in any operational issues, so it's really hard to get involved in how long things are taking. So we'll see where that progresses, but I'm really, really happy to take those papers forward, because real-life situations help us make real-life correct decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you're in the Wingecarribee in the next couple of hours, I believe.
I'll be down there, well, as soon as I finish this conversation, I'm headed down that direction. There's a meeting down in Station Street, Barrel. I believe it's run by the local area command, and it's called a Community Voice. I'm not exactly sure how many issues or topics will be covered, but I'm going along so I can hear what people have to say.
Okay, look, great to talk to you, and we'll get those documents together, and we'll put them in your hands, and that way it'll get to the people that can find out what's going on and do something about it.
Thank you, and I'll let you know when they're delivered.
Okay, good on you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Judy Hannan, and very keen, and is going to help us out. So, as I've said before, if you've got dramas with DAs in the Shoalhaven, if you've got dramas still with DAs in the Southern Highlands, email gday@2st.com.au.